over the last 5 months, we have been able to build from scratch a new tuition block that has 8 classrooms, standard 1 to standard 8. We were replacing a school that has been used a lot as an example of how bad some of the schools in the region are doing. Muringato Primary School is a school that is close to 40 years old, if I'm not wrong, actually over 40 years old. It started in the coffee plantations. It has moved a couple of times. The buildings are what you can see up here. They were quite dilapidated. When I got into office, when I came here the first time to try and repair, I was actually told it's going to be nearly as expensive to repair this school as it is to build a new block. We made a commitment to do a new block. And one of the silver linings of the COVID pandemic that we are not talking about is that because children were at home, we actually got an opportunity to build a school and to do it in a rush. We have built this school in 5 months from scratch, and right now we have a school that children are able to get into. The children are going to be able to start using it. Actually, they started using it yesterday. So they closed school for COVID in an old structure, and they have come back to a brand new structure, and that is one of the things we really appreciate our teams for being able to do this. This school was built using CDF funds, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because we've been able to allocate our CDF funds for Nyeri Town constituency into a project that is going to last for a long time. It's a bad thing because we should not have been using CDF funds to build schools like this. In other parts of the region, schools like this are built using infrastructural funds that come from the Ministry of Education. Unfortunately, we have noticed since I became Vice Chair of the Committee on Education and Research that we do not have a lot of infrastructure funds coming to schools in our region. There seems to be a misguided feeling in some parts of the ministry that maybe schools in Mount Kenya region or maybe Mount Kenya region doesn't need infrastructure funds. A lot of the cases you find that a school in the region gets 2 million shillings or 5 million shillings to come and repair, while we hear about schools in other parts of the country getting hundreds of millions or tens of millions for the same course. So one of the things I will do this year is that I'm going to be asking for a breakdown of allocation of infrastructure funds from 2013 per county. This is something, it is information that is not private, it's not information that is not personal, so that we are actually able to analyze where money for infrastructure funds has gone every year. Because as Parliament, we allocate a lot of funds to the ministry. Actually, the Ministry of Education is the most funded department in government. And we put in a lot of money. I think this year was like 4 billion shillings that we put in for infrastructure development. And then we end up discovering that, like in Nyeri Town constituency, in total, I've received 5 million shillings in infrastructure funds, which has gone to 2 different schools, right? Actually, 3 different schools. Kahiga Secondary, Yakanja Secondary, and Nyarifu Secondary are the ones that got an average of 2 million shillings each. Now, in other places and in just some of the records we have seen, you find that you have schools that are receiving 20 million shillings. 40 million shillings. There's a school I understand somewhere in Rift Valley that received 100 million shillings for infrastructure funds. And those are the things we want to understand. What is the criteria that is used to allocate infrastructure monies? I also want to appreciate the fact that the parents have supported our working hard. We have tried, as you have seen, to give masks, to give water tanks, to give sanitizers. We thank Dedan Kimathi University, who also contributed in helping fund this project. This project is close to 15 million shillings. Dedan Kimathi contributed 2 million shillings for us to be able to build this school. And we have an arrangement that they're going to try and give us another 2 million shillings to do an administration block, and then we'll top up. So we are working in partnership with Dedan Kimathi, and we're also urging other institutions, private institutions, parastatals, to try and adapt a school and try and see what you can do to make that school better. We're also challenging alumni. This school has alumni, people who are in government, people in business, people who are doing in professionals, to come back and do something about the schools that they went to.